Part 0034. Ms. Ruija, or should I say Ms. Det, only has herself to blame. You didn't have to clarify like that. Currently, my stance was, stop referring to Ms. Ruija as Ms. Det and vice versa. Actually, she was doing a great job of paying back what she owed. Perhaps it was better to say she was being forced to pay off her debts. I truly find it hard to understand how quick she is to discover something she wants despite owing a lot of money. I also don't get how she convinces herself to take out more loans elsewhere to pay back her debts that are due. I worry she has a screw loose, if I am being honest. In her academy days, she was a popular honors student, too. I would have liked to caution her, but honestly, I never would have imagined that she would do something like that for me. Ms. Sakura was referring to how I had asked Ms. Ruija to negotiate behind the scenes to allow her to keep her position as the school librarian. This had involved controlling information about Ms. Sakura's identity, direct bargaining with Marino, and silencing a select group of instructors. All the work proved fruitful, so Ms. Sakura was able to remain in her position. The other faculty didn't distance themselves from her, either. In another big surprise, the Academy elected to keep the regular student population in the dark about the Book of Raziel incident. To me, it was clear that Marino was familiar enough with Ms. Sakura to know that the librarian would take her own life before letting any student come to harm, and had consequently decided to cover it all up. Of course, Marino sidestepped my questions about this. Our lives had basically gone back to how they had been before everything happened. I'm so happy. I get to continue the same relationship I've had with all of you, just like before. It's truly all thanks to Ruija. Putting Ms. Ruija, aside for a moment. Do you have anywhere else you want to go outside of work, Ms. Sakura? She now had the ability to leave campus. I've never been to Tsukuyami Leisureland. Going by myself would be a bit lonely. Would like to join me, Kusuk? Sure, if I have the time. Master, you already have an angel at your side, and yet you're trying to buddy up with some dubious heavenly messenger from who knows where. Fine then, I shall accompany you. Please understand, though, I am quite particular about the dashi stock used in rolled omelets. When did we decide Ms. Sakura was making our lunches? Was Nanami checking her cooking skills or something? Was she playing the harsh mother-in-law here? What the hell is this lousy excuse for miso soup, Ms. Sakura? Yeah, I could see her saying that. We entered into the spatial magic circle as we talked. Our destination was up ahead. So at the end of the day, was the Book of Raziel really evil? Nanami asked abruptly. She must have been chewing on this question for a while now. That's not exactly it. The method the Book of Raziel ultimately arrived at to save humankind was killing everyone. Still, I don't think she really wanted to do it. What do you mean? I bet she didn't want to kill any humans or Ms. Sakura either. Ms. Sakura looked slightly surprised. You think so, too? She had the same read of the situation. Yep. Otherwise, how would something more powerful and knowledgeable than you get sealed away in the first place? Given the nature of the Book of Raziel's last words, which she delivered with a smile, it was impossible for me to see it any other way. I had to work even harder from here on out, for her sake as well. All right, we're here. This is the place you wanted to show me? It was somewhere that one would normally think was impossible. This world had 4 seasons just like Earth. Summers so hot they sapped you of the will to do anything. Autumns where the trees would change colors before losing their leaves. Winters that covered everything in a blanket of snow and left you chilled to the bone. And springs where ice thawed and life bloomed anew. Right now, it was summer. The time to head to the pool or beach and feast your eyes on swimsuits. But the grand sight before us had no place in the hottest months of the year. What a beautiful sakura tree. There stood a single cherry tree. The lawn around it was cleanly cut and bathed in sunlight from the sky above. It really is pretty. I've seen what I could of the row of trees in front of the campus, but this tree has a different beauty to it. This is one of my favorite spots. You like cherry trees? Yes, I do. That's why I come here occasionally to look at it. To remind myself of what I'd sworn to Iori. The 2 angels both silently looked at the sakura tree, but eventually Ms. Sakura broke the stillness. I also have something I'd like to speak to you about, Kusuk. What would that be? I'm an angel. You might already know this because you made a contract with Nanami, but upper-ranked angels can confer power on humans. I'm aware. While I have lost some of mine, I can still bestow powers to others. But I'm a bit hesitant to do so. Why is that? She nodded at my question. It would be one thing if I had fully recovered my strength, but presently, I can only bequeath my power to a single person. So it's one and done. I get it. So that means Iori's a part of all this, isn't he? That's right. I'm not sure whether to give my power to you or Iori. Oh, so that's what this is about. Please, give it to Iori. I don't need it. When I answered, Nanami looked at me with surprise. Seeing her reaction, Ms. Sakura smiled. I expected you to say that. You really don't need it. I'm sure I don't. If I was only worried about making myself stronger, then I might have taken you up on the offer. 'Cause I am pretty weak. Oh, don't say that. I don't think so at all. But it's true. I'm well aware of my shortcomings. This finicky ability of mine had advantages and disadvantages. Against certain enemies, I boasted unrivaled strength, but against others, my weaknesses could be totally exploited, and I'd be left with no choice but to flee. A contract with Ms. Sakura might have shored up some of my drawbacks. But I have Nanami on my side, I said, patting her on the shoulder. This prompted Nanami to turn and look at me with true bewilderment on her face. And Master? Nanami's got my back. She always goes above and beyond to help me out. I couldn't ask for anything more. Besides, I don't need your power to become the strongest guy around, Ms. Sakura. I see. That's quite a wonderful master you have, Nanami. He's the best master I could ask for. But there are times when I don't know what more I can do. I've already dedicated my body and soul to you, so what else is there for me to devote to you? You've given me plenty already. If anything, I'm worried about how I can pay you back for it all. Teehee, I'm jealous of your relationship. Now then, not to change the subject, but there's actually something I have to talk to you about, too, Nanami. Me? If you're asking about a signed Polaroid of my master, then a set of 3 will run you 50 yen. I don't remember signing anything. Putting that aside, wasn't Nanami's price a little too cheap? Any old postcard would run you more than that. I'll take 10, but what I wish to discuss was yourself, Nanami. You're an angel, but not a normal one. Does Takeoto know that? She wasn't a normal angel. What exactly did Ms. Sakura mean by that? I could think of one thing, but I glanced over to Nanami. I didn't know if it was okay to talk about this. I jerked my chin at my maid, telling her that I was leaving this up to her, and she nodded back. Yes, you're right. The old hag. Pardon me. Marino should also understand to some extent as well. You know, it sure didn't seem like she was trying to fix that habit of hers. I see. I'm not sure if that explains this, but you've deviated from other lower-ranked angels, Nanami, said Ms. Sakura. Deviated? I don't know the extent of your strength. You may very well end up surpassing me at the height of my powers. Well, that's a given. But is that actually true? I'm not joking. There's a sort of power that angels can sense within other angels. How should I put it? It's difficult to translate and pronounce in this world's language, so to make it simple, think of it as one's existential power. Existential power? Yes, the shining power of an individual's existence. A few of the people in your raid group felt overwhelmed just from looking at me, right? Right. That was me releasing my existential power to intimidate everyone. It's something angels and those with an elemental affinity for light possess, and it has an even greater effect on those with an affinity for darkness. Interesting. That explained why one member of the group had been especially affected by it. The latent existential power I feel in Nanami, though, is probably even stronger than I was during my heyday. Huh. I whipped my head around to Nanami, only to see her standing with one leg up on a chair that she had pulled out of thin air, lifting her skirt. The perfectly plump line from my butt to my thighs really has quite an impact, after all. I had to admit that this anatomical wonder was downright cheating. If Nanami was a card in a trading card game, she'd definitely get banned. That's not what she means. You did mean something else, right, Ms. Sakura? Nanami had spoken with such confidence that I couldn't help doubting my response for a moment. Well, Nanami's jokes aside, she really does have a tremendous power dwelling within her. Hehe, I'm sure that's because I am a special maid. She purposefully made it sound like she was joking, but it was true. Nanami was a dungeon maid after all. I'm not sure exactly why, but Nanami's power has been sealed away. Eventually, I could lift some of the limiters placed on her, but is that something you'd want me to do?